Hello there. Glad you're here. Enjoy the story. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications. Mason always thought he understood Harper better than anyone. After 12 years of marriage, he believed their bond was unshakable. At 41, he was well established in his field as a landscape architect, designing outdoor spaces for both private homes and commercial properties. His work brought him steady income and a good reputation. Harper, 3 years younger than him, coordinated high-profile corporate events. She worked for a respected firm that handled gatherings for major companies. They first met at an art show, married 2 years later, and mutually agreed not to have kids. They wanted careers that weren't restricted by parenthood, time to travel, and the freedom to live exactly as they pleased. The arrangement fit their lifestyle, or so Mason believed. Life fell into a consistent rhythm. Mason left early for job sites. Harper spent her days managing elaborate events and demanding clients. Evenings were simple: dinner, their favorite shows, casual conversation. Weekends meant exploring new restaurants or hosting friends. Everything appeared smooth, even peaceful. Mason thought their marriage was well balanced. In retrospect, he realized that the absence of conflict may have actually been emotional distance disguised as stability. When Harper mentioned she was organizing a major corporate event at an upscale hotel downtown, Mason saw it as just another assignment. She explained the event would include a cocktail hour, followed by dinner for over 100 attendees, executives, partners, and important clients. As the spouse of the lead organizer, Mason was invited as a VIP guest. He happily agreed. He rarely witnessed Harper at work, and he admired the finesse she brought to every event. That evening, he dressed in his best suit and drove to the hotel. The ballroom looked flawless, illuminated by warm lights and filled with carefully arranged floral centerpieces. Harper glided to the crowd with practiced ease, greeting guests, addressing details, and keeping everything polished. She wore a navy dress Mason didn't recall seeing before, simple, elegant, flattering. Watching her move confidently among the guests filled him with pride. During dinner, Mason noticed a man he didn't know, Garrett, tall, distinguished, silver hair neatly styled, dressed in a tailored suit. He carried himself with quiet authority. Harper had mentioned him recently as a significant client she needed to impress, but Mason hadn't paid much attention at the time. Once dinner ended and music began, guests filtered toward the dance floor. Mason watched from a distance as Garrett offered Harper his hand. She glanced toward Mason briefly before accepting. As they danced, something about their closeness unsettled him. The way Harper leaned in when Garrett spoke, the easy laughter she shared with him, their relaxed familiarity. He tried to brush it off as professional courtesy, but unease lingered. One dance became 2, then 3. They seemed lost in conversation, barely noticing the people around them. Mason finished another drink, hoping it would settle his irritation. Eventually Harper walked over to him, her smile looking slightly forced. She touched his arm lightly and said there was an urgent issue with the catering team she needed to resolve. She promised to return soon, then disappeared before he could reply. Minutes passed, then more. Mason texted her, then called when she didn't answer. Every call went straight to voicemail. Concern twisted into something darker. He checked the ballroom, restrooms, and nearby hallways. Nothing. Harper had vanished. And so had Garrett. The coincidence hit him like a blow. He approached the hotel security guard and calmly asked if it was possible to look at the cameras, explaining his wife had gone missing. After a hesitant moment, the guard led him to the monitoring room. What Mason saw on the screens drained the strength from his body. Harper, laughing with Garrett, stepping into an elevator beside him, his hand resting low on her back, the elevator rising. A hallway camera showing them exiting on the 10th floor and walking to a suite, Garrett unlocking the door and both of them entering, the door closing behind them. Mason stood frozen. The guard muttered an apology and looked away. Mason thanked mechanically and walked out, feeling as if he were moving underwater. His emotions collided: rage, sorrow, disbelief, humiliation. 12 years together undone by one night. He considered going upstairs, confronting them, breaking down the door. But a colder instinct took hold. No scenes. Not yet. He left the ballroom, grabbed his coat, and drove home without a word. He didn't sleep. Around 2 in the morning, Harper returned. Mason feigned sleep as she took a long shower before slipping into bed. The scent of hotel soap still clung to her. He forced himself to stay still. The next morning, she acted perfectly normal, chatting, making coffee, commenting on the event's success. When Mason casually asked where she had been the night before, she delivered a smooth lie about handling a crisis with a beverage vendor. She said she'd texted him and returned to the ballroom, only to find he had already left. Her deception was so effortless it made Mason's stomach turn. He pretended to accept her explanation. As soon as she left for work, he contacted a private investigator recommended by a lawyer friend. They met in a quiet cafe where Mason explained everything. Ron, the investigator, listened carefully and promised results within a week. He only needed 5 days. Ron returned with a file that shattered any remaining hope Mason had. Harper and Garrett had been involved for 8 months, meeting regularly at various hotels under the guise of work-related appointments. The dossier included photos, hotel records, text message extracts, and more. But the worst part was financial. Harper had used her company's credit card to pay for hotel stays, dinners, and gifts for Garrett. Individually, the charges seemed small, but over 8 months they totaled more than $25,000. And then came another bombshell. Garrett was married to Elena Hartman, the majority owner of Harper's firm and a woman of immense wealth and influence. Harper's affair wasn't Mason just personal debated betrayal. His next move. It was corporate confrontation would be emotional messiers. He needed precision. He anonymously contacted Elena, offering proof of financial misconduct and inappropriate behavior involving her husband and one of her employees. She responded within hours, arranging a confidential meeting at a law office with her attorneys. Mason presented everything: the photos, documents, records, timelines. Elena remained composed, but her icy expression revealed enough. When he finished, she thanked him for his honesty and handed him an envelope containing a check for $50,000 and the contact information of a top divorce attorney. She insisted he use both. What followed happened quickly. Elena ordered an internal audit focused on Harper's expenses. The findings confirmed Mason's evidence. Harper was fired immediately for embezzlement and violating company policy. She came home shaken, only to find Mason waiting with a suitcase beside him. He told her he knew everything about the affair, the stolen funds, all of it. Her face drained of color. She tried to reach for him, pleading, claiming confusion and mistakes. Mason didn't budge. He informed her he had already filed for divorce, and she had 3 days to move out. Harper dissolved into tears, begging for another chance, but Mason had no sympathy left. When she asked about Garrett, Mason told her the truth. Elena had filed for divorce as well. Garrett would lose nearly everything: money, reputation, and the comfortable life he'd enjoyed. Harper felt her knees sobbing, but Mason walked out without looking back. The months that followed were filled with legal proceedings. Elena chose not to pursue criminal charges against Harper, believing the firing and public disgrace were punishment enough. The divorce between Mason and Harper was swift. With overwhelming evidence against her, she had no leverage. Mason kept the house, most of their investments, and nearly everything acquired during their marriage. Harper moved into a small apartment and took a low-level job just to get by. Garrett fared even worse. Elena's legal power stripped him of his lifestyle and reputation. Eventually, he relocated to another city to start over with nothing. A year later, Mason had sold the house and moved into a modern apartment overlooking the river. He rebuilt his life, traveling, reconnecting with old friends, reviving forgotten hobbies. He'd even started a new relationship with Iris, a history teacher he met in a photography class. She was open and sincere, everything Harper wasn't. Harper's name rarely crossed Mason's mind anymore. From what he'd heard, she was still struggling financially and socially, but he felt no satisfaction or sadness, just indifference. His phone rang. It was Iris asking if he wanted to try a new restaurant she'd found. Mason agreed with a smile. As the call ended, he looked out over the river, reflecting the evening lights. 12 years of marriage had ended in treachery, lasting 8 months. But from the wreckage, Mason had rebuilt something real, something peaceful. Harper had made her choices, and now she lived with them. Mason made his own too, and he was finally free. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss upcoming stories. See you soon.